All right, so the first part of this is going to be a review because we have to know how to use function notation and our exponent rules before we can do a graph by hand. So it says in our directions, evaluate each function, write answers in simplified fraction form. What that means is for the first part, we're not going to use our calculators too much. We will on the bottom part, but not so much on the top. So it says g of n, there's our function notation, equals 3 to the n power minus 2. Find g of 1. So g of 1 just means we're putting 1 in for the n. So I'd have 3 to the first power minus 2. So if I take 3 to the first power, what is it?
3.
Just 3. So this is just 3 minus 2. We didn't need a calculator for that. We just get 1. And so that's the answer for that one.
That was easy.
That part was easy. Let's look at number 2. So number 2, we have g of x equals 2 to the x minus 2 power. Find g of negative 1. So I'm going to have 2, and when I put the negative 1 up here for x, I'm going to have negative 1 minus 2.
What becomes 2 to the negative third power?
It is 2 to the negative third.
It's 2 and negative cubed.
Okay, so if it's 2 to the negative third, we want it to be written in simplified fraction form. Do you guys remember what the negative powers do?
It makes it into 1 over.
It makes it into 1 over 2 to the third. Okay, so then this would be 1 over 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, and then times another 2 is 8. So for this part, we're going to use fractions. If you were to do this on your calculator, it'd give you 0.125. It'd give you the decimal, but it wouldn't give you the fraction. Okay, let's take a look at number 3. So we're going to put negative 1 in for the n over here. So we have 3 to the 2 times negative 1 power. So what will that power be? 2 times negative 1
is negative 2.
is negative 2. Okay? So let's remember what those negative powers mean. We're going to flip it over. It'd be 1 over 3 squared. So what is my final answer?
1 over 39? Or,
9.
39.
Good. 1 over 1. 1 over 9. 3 times 3 is 9. Good. So we're just going to zoom through these. On number 4, we're going to put 0 in for a. So I'm going to have 3 to the 0 plus 1 power. Well, gosh, I don't know. That's pretty tough. It'd be 3 to the first power, which would just be 3. All right, let's go over to number 5. So if I put negative 2 in for x, it's just 2 to the negative 2. So talk me through this. What would we do?
We put down 2.
I'm raising my hand.
Okay, yes, Adrian.
Okay, so the first thing you need to do is put 1 over 2 to the second power.
1 over 2 to the second power. I agree with that.
And then you put an equal sign, and then you put 1 over 4 because 2 to the second power is 2 times 2.
Good. 2 to the second power is 2 times 2, which gives us 4, so it is 1/4. Good deal. All right. One more. It has a little bit extra math. So this negative 2 goes in where the x is. So I'm going to have 3 times 5 is the negative 2 minus 1 power. So we'll just do the power first. Negative 2 minus 1, I feel like we just did that. That's negative 3. So this 3 out in front is just going to sit there for a second. And 5 to the negative third would become 1 over
25.
5 to the third, which, you're right, would be 1 over 125. How do I multiply a whole number with a fraction? Go for it.
Actually, I forgot.
How do I
can you
make
that a fraction as well?
Yeah, you can make 3 a fraction as well. So 3 over 1. And then you just multiply across. So it ends up being 3 on the top and 125 on the bottom. So this is a little trip down memory lane.
Not mine.
That's fine.
Yeah, they're supposed to be turned
I
off.
turned it off. I thought I needed it, but
Okay. Airplane mode or off, phones shouldn't be ringing. All right, so 3 over 125 is your final answer. All right, we will use the calculators a little bit for the bottom part. We'll actually start with the fractions and go through it. But we're going to use this skill to make XY tables for these down here. We're going to sketch the graph of each function. So we're going to make an XY table. Okay. And we're going to be smart about this. We've talked about exponential functions. We've graphed a little bit with our story problems. This is just like a straight function that we're graphing with no story problems. So we've got to figure out how to make some meaning. In the middle of my table, I'm going to put 0. And then we're going to figure out what our starting value is. So our y-intercept, our starting value, always comes from this number that doesn't have the power. So I know that 0, 2 is going to be on my graph because that's the starting number right here, right? So we're just kind of going backwards from what we did yesterday. And then this 2 tells me that we're going to multiply by 2 to go forwards. So if I go to 1, to go from here to here, I'm going to multiply by 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, and then I'm going to multiply by 2 again. So 4 times 2 is 8. And so I've got a couple more points. I can do 1, 4. I can do 2, 8. Let's go one more and put in 3. So for 3, it would be 16. So we've got the right-hand part of our graph. Now we want to try a couple of negative numbers. So I'm going to go backwards to -1. So what would I multiply by 2 to get 2?
It would be 0, right?
No, because 0 times something would be 0. What do you think? I'm asking you. Go ahead.
Okay. Wouldn't you subtract? Like,
Not subtract, but you could divide. Divide by 2.
Divide by 1/2, right?
So, yeah. So we're going 16, 8, 4, 2. What's the next in the pattern?
0.
Not 0.
1.
1. Because if I multiplied 0, then all of these would be 0 after that, because you'd be taking it times 0. So 1 makes sense. So we're going to have -1, 1 on our graph. And if I go to -2, think about going backwards. So what's half of 1?
-0.5.
0.5 or 1/2. And so at -2, it's about 1/2. If I keep going, I'm going to get 1/4, 1/8. It's going to get really tiny. So that's about what I need to get the shape of the graph. So it's going to come up like this. It goes really slow, and it just sort of explodes on this side. Gets really big. This is what they mean by something grew exponentially. They mean that it took off really fast. Okay? And we knew that that was growth because we had the 2 there, and we knew it was going to be getting bigger. So let's take a look at...
Wait, hold on. How'd you get to 4? 'Cause
So we know that our multiplier is 2.
yeah,
So as we go this way, we were taking it times 2, times 2, times 2, times 2.
correct.
And then we just worked backwards.
No, I get that, but when you're graphing it.
Okay, so 1, 4, I go over 1, up 4.
No, okay, I know that, but how did you get to -4 when it's -2?
I don't have -4 anywhere.
That's your starting point.
No, that's
No, it's
2.
0, 2. Right there, 0, 2, which we got from right here. Let's watch the next one, okay? Watch the next
hold
one.
on. Go all the way down to the bottom.
We're moving on to the next one, and you're going to watch this one more carefully than you watched the last one. We have 3 more to learn, okay? So just keep watching. So for number 8, we're going to make an XY table. All right, so where is our y-intercept? That's our starting point.
2.
It is at 2, because this is our starting point. So I know that that's the y-intercept. So in the middle of my table, I'm going to put 0, 2. So this is the same starting point we had on the last one, Keegan. Do you understand?
No.
Okay, I want you to look up here. So this number right here gives me the y-intercept. We learned that yesterday. So that means on my table, that's what's going to go with 0.
I get that,
0,
but I'm
2
talking
goes right
about
here.
the first graph. Like, go over.
Okay, no, I want you to watch this one. So watch and pay attention. The process is exactly the
On the
same.
graph, it starts at -4.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, listen and watch. We're not filling in the whole graph. We're just putting in enough points to get the shape, okay? So watch what I'm doing and listen. So you understand where the 0, 2 came from?
Yeah.
And you get where I put it right here.
Yeah.
Okay, now is this a growth or decay? Decay, it's 1/2. So I know it's decay, So I know as I go forward, we're going to be doing halves. So when I go to do 1, this is going to be multiplying by a half, or think of it as dividing by 2. So it's half of 2. 1. So I'm going to put that on my graph. 1, 1 is right here. If I go again to 2, what's half of 1? 1/2 or 0.5, however you want to write it. So then I'm going to go down to a half. That's about as small as I want to go. But I think I'm going to answer your question now, so are you watching? I know this is going to continue to get smaller, so I can keep drawing that line out. Okay? That's all I did. I'm just continuing that pattern. It's going to get smaller and smaller.